I keep hearing that these laws are just about modernizing, supporting journalism, or keeping people safe. Well, in isolation, those goals sound reasonable. But the real issue is what happens when government builds the machinery to regulate what citizens can see, share, and say online. That's why I'm concerned about Bill C-11, C-18, and C-9, and why I can't ignore how eerily similar this direction feels to what we're watching unfold in the United Kingdom. In the UK, the Online Safety Act has helped normalize the idea that the state and its regulators should pressure platforms to police speech aggressively, with serious consequences for getting it wrong, though. The result's predictable. When platforms fear penalties, they remove more content than necessary. And when citizens fear consequences, they speak less. And alongside that regulatory culture, we have seen cases where people have been arrested or even jailed for social media posts that most reasonable people would either laugh at or roll their eyes at or simply ignore. It's not incitement and not real threats. They're not even serious criminality. Often, just crude jokes, tasteless comments, or online arguments that could have been handled by social norms and personal responsibility instead of handcuffs and courtrooms. That's not safety. That's government using the justice system to enforce a narrow definition of acceptable speech. And it creates a chilling effect that spreads far beyond the people being charged. I mean, seriously, Canada should not be taking notes from that playbook, but that's what it feels like. Bill C-11 expands the CRTC's role over online streaming, and it introduces the idea of discoverability, which is a polite word for government-guided influence over what gets promoted and what gets buried. You don't need to be paranoid to see how this becomes soft censorship. It's not a direct ban. It's an invisible thumb on the scale. And if a regulator can push content up, it can also push content down. And over time, creators and commentators learn what the system rewards and what it punishes, and they adjust. But that's how a country slowly loses its edge, its honesty, and really its willingness to challenge power. So Bill C-18, it tries to force bargaining outcomes between large platforms and news organizations for making news content available here in Canada. Again, the goal sounds noble, but it still puts government in the middle of how information moves online. I mean, when policy tries to engineer the flow of links and visibility, platforms respond by changing what they allow to be shared and how it appears. I mean, small publishers and independent voices can get squeezed, and regular Canadians end up with fewer ways to find and distribute news quickly, especially in moments when speed and transparency matter most. Then there's Bill C-9, which proposes criminal code changes related to hate propaganda and hate crime. I mean, no decent Canadian supports hate, but expanding criminal law in the speech domain is where the chilling effect takes root. People don't need to be guilty to be intimidated. They only need to believe a complaint could be made, and a comment could be interpreted the wrong way, or a political opinion could be labeled harmful. I mean, when penalties rise and definitions broaden, ordinary citizens start to self-censor. That's how you end up with a public square that is technically free, but practically it's muted. So taken together, C-11 shapes what gets surfaced, C-18 shapes what gets shared, and C-9 raises the stakes for what gets said. That's the same pattern we're seeing in the UK. A framework that pressures platforms to monitor more, remove more, and err on the side of suppression. Well, citizens quietly learn that staying silent is safer than speaking plainly. Now, if you agree Canada should not drift toward that kind of reality, do something with it. Call or email your member of parliament, whether you voted for them or not. Tell them you want clear limits. You want more transparency and real safeguards for lawful expression. Then contact your senator and demand the same. Laws that touch speech don't get a free pass, because once this infrastructure is built, it rarely stays as narrow as promised.